All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to an individual competing at the May 2nd BKFC Fight Night, and a very intriguing flyweight fight set to go down as Anthony Yost takes on Chachi Versace, and great having Chachi on Bare Knuckle Bowker for the first time. How's it going, man?
Going pretty good, man. Thank you for having me.
And this must be an exciting moment for you, man. Great to have you to the point of what you just said there, but this must be an exciting moment because I did see you were part of BKFC's amateur prospect series that uses like the smaller gloves and looks like a great experience was had there all around, but all the same must be great to be getting out there for this BKFC throwdown here.
Yeah, for sure, man. BKFC's embraced me, the fighters, the all the staff, everybody is taking me in, and I want to put in the hard work and show that I do belong here, bro.
Yeah, because it seems like you kind of came up through, like I said, that prospect kind of circuit there, but I saw you were kind of eyeing like some tryouts in Florida, I guess even a bit over a year ago at this point. So, like, has this journey kind of played out as you kind of thought it would in a sense? Because it just seems like so many cool things have happened in the last like year plus and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I'm a really hard worker. I stick to what I want to do, and I go out and get it done, man. That's exactly like you said. I've been at least two tryouts, maybe even three, and some as long as 3, 4 years ago. I'm not even sure the date, but quite a while that I had been working on this journey. Yep.
It must be so satisfying to see it eventually materialize into a moment like this. I would think that would be a huge thing for you along that journey you outlined.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Again, it's been a lot of hard work to get here. I lost a ton of weight to get here too. Man, it's been an incredible journey with Smith Brothers, that same gym I've been with, I've lived in, Kevin Smith, Brandon Gold, who have been a major help in getting me this far too. I wouldn't have been probably even part of the Prospect Series had I not known these gentlemen, you know what I'm saying? Um, but they pushed for that extra pace for me and get me in the shape that I am.
Yeah, and that was definitely something that I really wanted to touch on because you mentioned the weight loss and just in even more like a broad sense, kind of talking about the hard work you put into the journey that you've been on. Like I saw a couple posts talking about how you were nearly 300 pounds and now you're readying to weigh in at the 125-pound limit. Can you talk about that whole journey? Because that's, I mean, really incredible stuff for sure, to say the least, man.
Yeah, so I tell this story a lot, I might choke up, but to summarize as best I can, man, I wasn't living my life the best as I could. I wasn't into drugs or anything, but I was drinking and riding motorcycles. Lucky to survive that lifestyle. And I had a daughter born who immediately, as soon as she was born, she was having surgeries and life-threatening instances that happened to her. Passed away a few times from my face, and a trigger in my head changed my life going through these things with my daughter. And of course, I stayed in the hospital by my daughter's side where all I did was stress out and eat, and stress alone will put some weight on you. Um, it went on that for years, man. Her fight in the hospital, like I said, flipped a switch in my head, turned into, all right, she fought. This is a dream I had, a long time ago, man. I used to live across the street from a boxer, and I was like, oh, that's something so cool. But I went on, like I said, lived recklessly. Now that switch got flipped in my head, and it's my turn to fight. Metaphorically, I guess, and physically now for my daughter. Um, she was the inspiration behind the whole thing. Of course, I'm doing it for me. I have to be a better person too. I got to be there. I've got other kids. I've got to man up, man. And thank God that switch got flipped because now I'm here. I'm the best me that I've ever been, and also best shape I've probably ever been. Thanks to my little godson there, man.
Yeah, I mean, such a powerful story because I mean, a lot of people could easily let something like that just totally, crush them and derail everything. And I don't think anyone would think anything of that, to be honest. So just incredibly admirable what you're doing for yourself and just really your family as an extension of that too, man. Just what an inspirational story for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we went through a lot, man, and then also, A few years later now, we've come just recently, and the hurricane actually took my house. Me, my wife, and our kids, we were homeless for a while, bouncing around, and thankfully, I was in this community of great people. It was my wife's family who actually created a GoFundMe, and it was all of my friends, all of BKFC, the fight community who really showed up and showed out for that GoFundMe. And now we're in a beautiful home, and we wouldn't be here without BKFC. Honestly, they put the biggest in the pot there. So I owe some favors here, and I look to return that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, kind of an interesting situation. I mean, a lot to talk about with the debut officially in BKFC, but it did kind of, I guess, want to get some insights on that prospect series fight you had because you have some amateur MMA experience from what I was seeing previously. And obviously, a lot of differences in terms of like what techniques you can and cannot implement. But was there a certain level of competitive familiarity you felt out there wearing like the smaller, almost like 4 ounce gloves from what I could tell, just kind of eyeballing the Prospect Series gloves? Like, obviously, like I said, a lot of limitation in the technique that one could do in amateur MMA compared to what you did with BKFC Prospect Series. But was there like a certain level of competitive familiarity with the gloves and etc.?
Well, to go back on what you said there a little bit, I took my MMA fights, bro, and I have zero interest in MMA. I've never ever been a UFC fan. I've never been interested in any wrestling MMA. Those were bouts that I competed in just to come down and get that experience as I was coming down in weight. So if you do go back and look at the record, if you'll see it's 55, 45, 30 coming down. Um, Not really interested in it. I did it just to do it, get it done. Of course I did try and I won a couple, but again, that wasn't my thing. Then I did the prospect series, yeah. And I'll be honest, those gloves aren't too comfortable for me. I had a weird feeling of punching with the gloves on. I couldn't get used to it's kind of got a little bit of pullback on those hybrids. This is a boxing match, and it's not always the cleanest. I don't want to say boxing match, a fighting. Um, and those punches aren't always going to come off crisp, but it was a learning experience, man. I did get the experience, got my head in the game a little, see the pace, feel the ring. The ring is a smaller ring. um it was definitely a plus for me, bro. I can't take any losses in a negative way. That it's all a learning experience along the way. I didn't get beat up in any of my fights. I didn't take bad losses, didn't touch the pavement. So I think I did well, even though I didn't get any wins throughout the prospect series. It's just experience.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because you talk about how the whole MMA journey on the amateur level almost kind of informed the weight loss experience that you had, and it was never necessarily that thing you wanted to really pursue long term. Like, when did bare knuckle boxing kind of get on your radar as something that, I guess, compared to MMA, it's like with this, I can really sink my teeth into this, and I see like a longer term kind of future with it.
So when I was going through the stuff with my daughter, I actually worked side by side to a guy, Abby Velasquez, and tough dude, man. And he was a roofer at the time, and I'd see him doing some stuff, and I was like, man, what do you do? And he's like punching shingles and stuff. Oh, I'm a fighter, man, a bare knuckle fighter. And then from that day, while I was going through the stuff in the hospital with my daughter, we'd watch bare knuckle fighting, and I just grew into it, and it grew from there. I was like, okay, well, I didn't take up boxing when I was younger. When I was living a little recklessly, I was getting into street fights and stuff. Of course, it gets that adrenaline pumping, kind of like a car crash, and I loved it. So I was like, the experience with my daughter made me not want to do anything I didn't want to do ever again. So it was only things that make me happy, and try to make the right choices. I believe I did.
Yeah, no, it seems like it, man. I mean, I feel like really just overall the sport of bare knuckle, but if we even localize it to BKFC, it just seems like there's so much growth. It seems like one of the faster growing combat sports in the last X amount of years for sure. So exciting times, I would imagine.
For sure. Conor McGregor coming on. Um, fucking So many superstars in the game right now. Sorry. So
No,
many
no.
superstars in the game right now. I'm just grateful to be among the ranks of these people and know some of these people that I can now call friends. It's a beautiful thing. I love BKFC, man.
Yeah, I mean that kind of speaks volumes too, because you were saying you weren't necessarily someone that like followed UFC back in the day per se, but I feel like Conor McGregor is one of those like household kind of names, like people who don't necessarily know a lot about MMA, like they probably couldn't name any current UFC champions, but they know who that is. So probably a
Yeah,
great person to have as like a person signal boosting BKFC specifically, obviously, but just the sport of bare knuckle overall.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And just yeah, great getting back to the ring here and stuff like that. And just I don't know, I feel like I keep getting taken aback by this weight loss journey. Just really incredible,
Yeah.
incredible stuff, man. And it seems like you've been kind of training at some different spaces over the years per some of the information I've been reading on you. But it seems like where you're at presently is Smith Brothers Fighting Academy. It seems like there's a great communal kind of culture there and everything like that. Can you speak to just how great it's been kind of getting in work in that space and honing your skills?
Yeah, so I'm a real smart guy, man, and my tactic when I came into BKFC, I was overweight, I was ashamed, so I completely erased my social media. Started over making banners and graphics and stuff for the fighters. That's how I grew my name first in BKFC world. People knew my name before they even knew my face. I tried to be smart about it. Um, then I came up again like some of the fighters. I don't want to name drop everybody, but some big important names that I built relationships with. Granted me some time with them, and yeah, I started a gym tour before the hurricane. Unfortunately, financially I couldn't continue that. Um, but I do videos, man, video calls with fighters. They send me detailed text messaging, workout plans if I can't make it to them. Um, and I haven't talked to anybody yet that has said no to me coming to their gym to get some work. You know what I'm saying? I've built that relationship that well with a lot of these guys. But Smith Brothers is definitely, like I said, that's where I'm at. I lived in that gym. Kevin Smith gave me a room in that gym when I was homeless a couple times. And I wouldn't be at this weight, honestly, without that gym. So I have all my love for that gym. Never leave it.
Yeah, I love that it kind of has provided you so many things in your life, even beyond just like the refinement of technique considerations, like you talking about getting a space there at different points of not having a home. But it seems like there's just such great guys to be getting in work with and whatnot. Like I saw your teammate Rodney Hinton is going to be on this card, and I also saw you getting in work with Ryan Reber a few weeks ago, who is readying to compete soon as well. So love to see that, just the proximity of each of you guys kind of having your own individual tasks on the same night and preparing for that.
Yeah, Ryan Reber actually, we just spoke because he doesn't even remember, but he was actually accidentally the day that I stepped foot into a gym. Like, uh, I was 287 pounds when I stepped into the very first gym. It was a gym that's non-existent anymore, but Ryan Reber was there, and I always liked him because that day, I wasn't a favorite, you know what I'm saying? I came in, there was probably six or seven fit guys in there to box, and I was twice the size I am now, and some of them I feel like there wasn't real camaraderie with at the time. But Ryan Reber was encouraging at the time, and I feel like he didn't take that, look at me like, oh, there's a fat ass or something like that. So he's always been someone super nice, man. He's a local. And I just like the guy, you know what I'm saying? He's flashy, he's got good style, he's good at marketing.
Yeah, and I was also noticing on your social media, you're, really under some great learning trees in a sense. Like I saw you getting in some work with Dave Mundell and then really getting into the learning and listening with Lorenzo Hunt. I mean, that has to pay dividends for your game. I mean, two of the more accomplished bare knuckle fighters of this modern era and everything.
Oh, more than that. So another great thing about Smith Brothers is everybody wants to come here. So we've got, I don't even know how many pros are on our roster. But that's another benefit of being at the Smith Brothers gym is um, CWB, Zeb Vincent. We've had him, Justin Street, Lorenzo Hunt. Um, and I can't even think of all the names. So many that have been in our gym. We don't always take pictures and post, you know what I'm saying, gloat about it, of course. Um, Try to be private too, but it's an unreal amount of experience you get in our gym because there's all the other outside people that come in. And they'll spend the night too. They stay, some of them stay for a month or longer at the gym. So we get a lot of great work in with a lot of different people.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a big question that, I mean, I personally would like to have some insights on. Like, what's the origin of the Chachi Versace moniker? Because I love that.
So it came from some friends a long time ago. It just happened to rhyme. Being what I went through with my daughter, um, I started, everybody wants that cool name or anything, but this is a name I'd went by for many and many years. And if you're familiar with Versace, most people are, but Medusa was a symbol for strength in women and prosperity. Many other words I can use, but it was a strong symbol for women. And I attached that obviously to what I went through with my daughter, and that's why I stuck with it, man. And it rhymes. It sounds good.
So it was almost like a nickname that like buddies way back in the day gave you, and there was that rhyming component and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, it's cool. Like there was something about it that really stood out when I saw the fight poster. You know, full disclosure, I sent that to a few people and I was like, this is a great persona. Like this is awesome. And a lot of people were excited and intrigued by it. They're like, yeah, what a great name for a fighter. Like just yeah, cool thing to go by. Like obviously not the government name, but be very cool all
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah, again, I'm a smart guy. I try to market myself the right way. BKFC isn't a retirement plan. There's no 401k in bare knuckle fighting, so I have to build my name also as an empire and hopefully create some longevity with that in the fight game. The only way to do that, create a personality, make yourself unique, you know what I'm saying? Nobody else has that.
Have you always been like naturally inclined to like the marketing side of all of, what requires a fighter to kind of get to that next level? Like, have you always had like a natural inclination for like the promotional or marketing side of the game, or has it been something that you've found yourself really refining over the years and it's really paying off now, I guess?
Still working on it, man. Honestly, I've never done any of this. That was just again going with my smarts, knowing what to do, how to create some longevity. Fighting's expensive, man. We got to get the sponsors. The check's not enough, you know what I'm saying? It's a great amount, but you have to look at it. What if I go in this fight and I got hurt and I couldn't go to work for another month, 2 months? Got to be smart, man. You got to have a backup plan. So the sponsor's there to help me create some security. I was just smart enough to, have my head on and know that, okay, this is what you got to do to be successful. And I may not be a champion in BKFC, man. I want to put on some great fights and again, just create that name. I went and took Sean Willock's referee and judges course. Never really been interested in that, but now that I took the course, I am totally interested in it. I got some great knowledge also from him, um, even as a fighter. But again, that goes with, maybe one day you'll see me refereeing a bare knuckle fight or I'll be judging a fight. I'm not always going to be in the ring.
Yeah, I think there's an importance to that, just like that willingness to be like a utility player, for lack of a better way to phrase it, like just in the sense of being open-minded to occupying some other lanes to kind of get some traction within the game. And yeah, I'm interested in that course too. I'm waiting to kind of hear back about that. I think there's some plans for Sean Wheelock to kind of bring that to like closer to my neck of the woods in Toronto, like later on in the year. So yeah, I might be taking the same course. Definitely intriguing. And yeah, cool to hear that you could take that route as well. Like I feel like Chris Lieben, for instance, has done some, great things like that. Like obviously an acclaimed fighter and has done
Yeah.
cool things in recent times as a referee. So yeah, I mean there's so many different roles one could have even after the competitive in-ring kind of days and stuff like that.
Chris Leva was actually sitting next to me at one of the days for Sean Willock's class. Pretty cool guy. But that class, bro, you should absolutely take it. It changed. There was people in there that also didn't have any interest in being a referee or a judge. They were just fans, and they wanted to know, okay, how are these judges thinking? Like, what's the thought process for these fights? Because some of them just didn't understand the judges' calls or the referees' calls. And again, for me, even just super great knowledge to have with me as a fighter and any future jobs I might have.
And I feel like it's an interesting time to get involved in the flyweight division because, I mean, obviously, like John Dodson helming the division as champion. And I feel like there's some, great quality contenders in the division, like Andrew Strode and Tyler Randall and Chancey Wilson, obviously, come up. And I feel like there's a lot of, like, kind of even like fringe contenders, like at least fringe in the sense of outside of that established top five. So it seems like a really, vibrant division and it seems like it's growing and whatnot as of late.
Yeah, for sure, man. Big O. I actually seen someone post a video with the 25-pound roster, man. It's pretty extensive. So hopefully that leads for plenty of fights.
And to the point of this fight you have coming up, I'd be curious to, get your thoughts on Anthony Yost because he has like certain similar experience, like in as far as he was in MMA before. He's had a couple of bare knuckle fights and a couple of different promotions, having fought for Valor BK and then had a BKFC fight in July of last year, from what I was seeing there. Like, what are your thoughts on what your opponent brings to the table in terms of like some of his better skills and everything like that?
So I'm a respectful guy, man. I have nothing bad to say about this guy. There's some this pitter patter on the internet here, but I respect him, man. He's got, I think, about 30 fights. Um, and his MMA is probably a plus. I don't really see him use it in BKFC, though his fights haven't been long enough. Um, but I think he's gonna be fast. Um, but I think I'll be faster, and I think I'm more creative than he is. Um, I expect a good fight, man. I like to give the fans some entertainment. That's what I'm here for. Again, I want to be an entertaining fight, create some longevity. A quick fight's not gonna do that. Everybody loves that quick knockout, but I want the people that bought tickets to have a show. So I just hope it's a great fight. Again, respect to Yost. Um, I'm friendly now. I'm not gonna be friendly that day. It means business, like I said, this opportunity means so much to me, bro. I have a lot to pay back, to prove. Um, my head's on straight though, and I feel like I'm ready to get in there and actually put all this talent together to put on a good show.
Yeah, and I was seeing in an article that was documenting what you were doing more so in like the MMA portion of the overall journey, and it was talking about how your daughter was frequently at the fights. Is she going to be at this upcoming one here?
So actually, sorry to correct you, but she wasn't at a lot of my fights. She honestly was the first MMA fight that I won. She was there. I was losing the fight, and I believe it was a third round. I went down, and my head was facing towards my daughter there in the crowd. And again, it just flipped a switch. And with every last bit of gas and strength I had, I stood up, turned around, um, some kind of arm sweep, and took the fight over and finished it with punches there. Um, she won't be in this fight either. Unfortunately, she moved away. She's in Ohio now. But I do know there is some maybe future plans for Bare Knuckle in Ohio. So Daddy might come home.
Yeah, because that was the anecdote I was reading, and I was like, oh, okay, so a precedent has been set for this happening. But yeah, I mean, and the rate that bare knuckles expanding, I mean, who's to say it doesn't encroach into that market next in the near future kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you love to see it, man, and just yeah, a really interesting journey you've been on, and it'll be really cool to see what transpires with this upcoming card. I think it's a well matched, interesting fight that definitely makes sense and everything. So yeah, really appreciate you coming on and giving great insights ahead of this fight on May 2nd, man. But I also figured I'd give you the floor in case you had any kind of final parting thought you may want to add as we're sort of wrapping up here, man.
No, man, I totally agree, and apparently most other people do agree that it will be a great fight, a great matchup, and I hope so, man. I really look to finish him and keep going with this. Um, I don't know what to say, man. It's just it's been a heck of a ride, dude. Heck of a ride. A lot of emotions brought me here. A lot of hard work, a lot of people, and I couldn't be more grateful for this opportunity.
That's a great place to be, man. And yeah, definitely a few chapters written so far, but that next chapter unfurling on May 2nd, as I said, BKFC fight night going down. And just, yeah, this Anthony Yost fight, definitely an intriguing one. And thank you so much rather for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker today to offer great insights ahead of this fight, man. You have a good rest of your day and all the best in the remainder of the preparations and looking forward to peeping the fight when it goes down too, man.
Thank you, brother.